Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I am so happy today to have Allen Levy with us, who is coming to us from Alaska. If you listen to my introduction, you will know that he has a ferry boat background, which is why his background, if you're watching on YouTube, has a very cool picture of him. And he's such an interesting guy. I'm really happy to have you here, Allen.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here myself.
So Allen has a whole bunch of different things we could be talking about today. And I'm probably going to have him back again on the show to talk about other topics to help families. But for today, we are going to be talking about the job of raising children together and what that means. So tell us a little bit about how you started your work, a little background on you, and then let's just dive right into this really important topic.
So I've been working with children and families for most of my working life, going all the way back to my teens when I was a camp counselor. Um, I worked for about 11 years in juvenile corrections in Alaska's largest juvenile correctional institution. And about the time my son was 3, he said, "Papa, I need you to get a new job. I never get to see you." So I put myself back into school. I got my master's degree in clinical psychology, got licensed as a master's level clinical psychologist. And Alaska is exceptional in that area that you can practice psychology with a master's degree. And I can do everything a PhD or PsyD can do except call myself doctor or provide more than 20% of the supervision to somebody trying to get their license. Um,
Okay.
and over the years, I have developed a general specialty of dealing with complex family issues that I often get calls from people. I talked to 3 or 4 other therapists, told them my problem, and they all said, I should talk to you, Al Levy.
Hmm.
And within that, I do a lot of work with high conflict families going through divorce or post divorce, still fighting over custody and other issues. Um, I s- uh, Early when I set up my private practice, I tried doing co-parenting counseling and true confessions. I wasn't really trained in it, but I thought, hey, it's worth a try. And the co-parenting counseling with both parents in the same room at the same time looked like wrestling an MMA fight,
Yes.
or this World Wrestling Federation where it's as much drama as it is competition. And I said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And I stopped until I got a call from a local attorney who begged me to take on a case that this high conflict couple had been ordered by the judge to get 10 sessions of co-parenting counseling before he'd let them back in his courtroom. Technically a violation of their due process rights, but they didn't appeal. Um, and there was nobody else around that would even touch this. And so what I told him is, I said, I will do this, but they have to do it my way. I'm not going to do traditional co-parenting counseling in the sense of both parents in the same room at the same time with some expectation that we're going to have a hug it out kumbaya moment at the end.
Right.
I said, I will meet with dad for 10 sessions while I'm meeting with mom separately for 10 sessions. And I may put them together in the same room at the same time if it looks like we'll get a good outcome and that there's a chance of them actually being able to do that.
Right.
So before we finished the 10 sessions, I ended up actually having sessions with mom, dad, and their 2 boys in the room at the same time, in which I led them through a structured exercise in which one of them was I had them all sitting around a table painting little wooden objects that they chose. But the trick was they pick the object, pass it to the person next to them, and they give that person instructions while receiving instructions from the other person. So it's mom, son, dad, others sitting around the table. And it, this was after we'd done some preliminary work, identifying what the problems were, building some trust and rapport. Now, here's kind of a trick question. Parenting parents' job is to provide the opportunity to receive an education. So, pop quiz: whose job is it to actually educate the children? If it's not the parents, what's your first best guess?
I mean, the person.
Thank you. Yes.
And I'm like,
It's the
child
child's
is
job.
with. Yeah.
It's the child's
Yeah.
job to get educated. When I'm working with, you know, not in divorce situations, but parents and kids, I tell the kids, you have a job. And the job is learn, obey, and grow.
Mhm.
Those are your three jobs. You need to learn. You were born not knowing anything. You need to obey because you don't know enough to make good choices, and you need to grow. That's your job. Do your job. And so it's the parent's job to provide an opportunity to get an education, but they need, if the parents are doing their job, then they need to make it possible for the kids to do their job. And so, parents that are doing the kids' homework and making their science fair project or all this stuff, you're not helping your kids. You're teaching them all the wrong things. Let the kids struggle and flounder. So moving on. So provide the opportunity to receive an education. This is parent's job description, provide adequate medical care, provide adequate transportation in order to meet child's needs. Adequate transportation could be just a good pair of walking shoes, a scooter, a bike, a school bus. It doesn't mean mom or dad has to be the one that physically drives them all over. A carpool, just make sure they can get where they need to go. And then here are the ones that are a little less concrete, but so critical. Provide attention, provide care, provide love, provide support to the child in meeting developmental needs towards becoming a responsible, independent adult, which I skipped some. I went right to the job description. Every job has a goal. It has a purpose. And the goal of parenting is to get children from conception to adulthood alive and capable of independent adult function. So basically, the bar is low. The bar is low. If you've done any amount of child protective services work or been involved in a CPS type case, the bar is low.
What did you think about this are some of the common traps that you've seen, like, or missteps that parents often fall into when it comes to co-parenting? Or maybe, I mean, I'm kind of maybe getting a reputation for being hard on lawyers. Um, but being a family law attorney, I think I have a right to comment that I think that oftentimes parents are encouraged by their attorneys to get in kind of act in a weaponized way instead of
So,
doing as well. So what are your comments on that?
so for the parents, they need to be grounded and realistic, and they need to accept the fact that their child has two parents, and that in general, children love both parents equally, and divorce is not toxic to children. Divorce is a um, yeah, stressful and all too common life change that happens. I grew up in a military family. Every 2 years, we packed up and moved somewhere else. I had to leave behind school, friends, home, and start over again. Divorce is another one of those life changes. You deal with it, you adapt to it. It's a challenge, but you learn from it. So the divorce itself is not the problem. It's not harmful or toxic. The thing that is toxic and harmful to children is conflict between the parents. I like to simplify things, but not make them dumb. So in a child's mind, especially younger children, I love mom. I'm the child. I love mom. I love dad. Mom and dad, they know everything. Mom and dad hate each other. Therefore, there must be something wrong with me. And here's something I've been adding to it recently, is one of the cruelest things you can do to a human being is not to deny them love, but to deny them the freedom to love. And when parent is engaged in conflict with the other parent and they get the child involved in it, they're committing an act of cruelty because they're forcing the child to choose. They're in a loyalty bind, and that's bad enough. And they're forcing the child to choose between one parent and the other. And at the same time, what they're saying to that child is, it is not okay for you to love the other parent. That is an act of cruelty. That, there are things we do to people, in corrections. We put them in jail. Okay, we deprive them of freedom. The harshest punishment is to put somebody into solitary, where you not only do not have attention or connection with other people, but you have no way to love, nothing to love. You're cut off and isolated. And high conflict cases where children are put in the middle, they're in a weird kind of solitary confinement, and they're forbidden to do the most human thing we do, which is love.